unforgivable. The Cold War between the political class and the British people just turned hot. Inside the walls of Kensington Palace, a single word from the future king has triggered the most dangerous constitutional crisis since the abdication of Edward VIII. Prime Minister Keir Starmer has declared war on the crown. And the monarchy, for the first time in a century, is fighting back. What you are about to hear is the story the palace and Downing Street are desperately trying to kill. A story of betrayal, of open contempt for our traditions, and of a plot to bring the monarchy to its knees. The question is no longer if this will end badly. The question is, will the United Kingdom as we know it even survive? The mainstream media will tell you this is a simple disagreement over a housing bill. A minor political spat. They are lying. This is not a misunderstanding. It is a calculated, ideological assault, years in the planning. It began 4 days ago, with a letter sent from Number 10 to Prince William. It wasn't a request. It was an ultimatum. Sources who have seen the document describe it as chillingly blunt. Starmer demanded that Prince of Wales publicly endorse his government's plan to seize private and Crown estate land for development. The implicit threat was brutal: get on board, or the monarchy will be painted as an enemy of the people. Starmer, critics believe, thought he could bully a new prince, that William would meekly submit to the will of the political machine. He miscalculated catastrophically. They thought the prince, still finding his feet, would be an easy target. A senior advisor, known for his radical Republican views, reportedly told Starmer he's a modernizer. He wants to be popular. He won't risk a fight. It was a fatal misreading of the man, and of the institution. They confused quiet dignity with weakness. Inside Buckingham Palace, the mood was not panic, but grim resolve. Senior courtiers, men who have served the crown for decades, recognized the attack for what it was: a constitutional ambush. The decision to defy Downing Street, sources say, was made not just by the prince, but with the quiet, unshakable backing of the king himself. A father and son, a king and his heir, united against a hostile state. The prince's reply was delivered not in person, but through his private secretary. A single, ice-cold sentence that detonated 300 years of political convention. The Prince of Wales, it read, respectfully declines to involve the crown in active political advocacy. It was a masterclass in constitutional correctness. It was also a declaration of defiance. Inside Number 10, the news landed like a bomb. Witnesses describe a scene of complete meltdown. Starmer, they say, was incandescent with rage. One junior minister, who has since considered resigning, heard the Prime Minister yelling. He thinks he can say no? To me? Parliament makes kings, not the other way around. The words hung in the air, a shocking display of contempt for an institution he swore to uphold. But that was only the beginning. Within hours, Starmer's spin doctors, in a fit of panic and fury, leaked their version of the story to their friends at The Guardian, hoping to pressure the prince into a humiliating public climb down. The attack was on. And while this battle of egos rages in Westminster, what of the people they claim to represent? What of the people this housing bill is supposedly for? Travel to Portsmouth. Find a former Royal Marine Sergeant, a man who served 22 years for his queen and country. He survived the Falklands. He survived 2 tours in Iraq. Today, he survives in a damp tent under a concrete bridge, forgotten by the nation he fought for. He told a local reporter, his voice cracking, "I'd have taken a bullet for this country. Now, they won't even give me a room." This is the Britain Starmer has built. A Britain where our heroes are left to freeze on the streets. And the insult? The ultimate betrayal? The very same housing bill Starmer is trying to force on the crown contains clauses, buried deep in the appendices, that insiders claim will cut veteran-specific housing funds by hundreds of millions. The money, it appears, is to be rerouted to other priority groups. It is a moral abomination. In Leeds, a 64-year-old former army nurse, who spent her life caring for our wounded soldiers, is now raising her disabled grandson. She has been on a housing list for 14 months. She was told she lacked priority status. Meanwhile, in London, documents reveal that millions of pounds of taxpayer money have just been signed off to refurbish yet another private bar for members of Parliament. Heated floors. Designer furniture. Champagne on ice. This is the two-tier system in its most grotesque form. A life of service gets you a tent in the rain. A life of political scheming gets you subsidized luxury. And they have the gall, the absolute audacity, to drag our future king into this cesspit and demand he bless their corruption. Now go to a small family farm in rural Kent, land that has been worked by the same family since the reign of Queen Victoria. A father, in his late 50s, looks out over his fields. He received a letter last month, a preliminary notice of compulsory purchase under the provisions of this very bill. His life's work, his children's inheritance, to be bulldozed for a housing estate nobody in his village wants. They call it progress, he told a local journalist, his voice thick with emotion. It feels like theft. It feels like we, the people who feed this country, mean nothing to them. This is the human cost of Starmer's grand vision. The destruction of heritage, the crushing of families, all to serve a political agenda. But the public sees it. They see the hypocrisy. And their anger is building. Starmer thought he could isolate the prince. He was wrong. At a Privy Council meeting, King Charles, in a move that stunned Westminster, broke with decades of protocol. He didn't just support his son. He delivered a calm, but steel-edged, rebuke to his Prime Minister. Sources in the room described the atmosphere as glacial. The king, they say, reminded his ministers that the crown's impartiality is not a political choice, but a constitutional necessity. He declared that Prince William had acted with perfect correctness, and warned that any further pressure would be a grave departure from centuries of British tradition. The message was unmistakable: you have crossed a line. Back down. For Starmer, it was a humiliating public checkmate. His political authority, already fragile, began to crumble. The fallout was immediate and catastrophic. The pound sterling plunged as global markets reacted to the spectacle of a British government at war with its own head of state. Billions were wiped from the FTSE 100. International investors, who prized stability above all else, began to pull their money out. Traders in Hong Kong and New York started using a term reserved for failing states, sovereign risk. But the real earthquake was happening on the streets. #Defend William exploded online. Protests, small at first, erupted in Manchester, Birmingham, and Glasgow. People holding signs reading, "Hands off our royals," and "Starmer doesn't speak for us." An emergency poll showed William's approval rating soaring to over 80%. Starmer's plummeted into the low 30s. Even a majority of Labour's own voters said he was wrong. The people were choosing their side. And it wasn't his. Inside the Labour Party, it's chaos. A civil war is brewing. Senior ministers are in open revolt. Chancellor Rachel Reeves reportedly confronted Starmer in a cabinet meeting, accusing him of destroying the party over a pointless, ego-driven war. Shadow cabinet members are being seen in quiet corners of Westminster, plotting. WhatsApp groups with names like the Labour Rescue and Aftercare are buzzing with activity as MPs strategize his removal. They know he has committed an unforgivable sin. He has not just picked a fight with a popular prince. He has picked a fight with the British people's sense of fairness, of history, and of national identity. And then, the leak that turned panic into treason. The smoking gun. Insiders have revealed the existence of a secret project, codenamed Operation Modern Monarch. The details, if true, are a blueprint for the systematic dismantling of the crown. Stage 1, force a constitutional confrontation to paint the royals as politically obstructive. Stage 2, use the crisis to introduce legislation stripping the monarch of the royal assent. Stage 3, a public consultation on the future of the crown, a sham process designed to lead to a republic. This confrontation wasn't an accident. It was engineered. Starmer, it appears, was looking for a pretext. He just never expected his opponent to fight back. And who is stepping into the vacuum? Who is giving voice to the silent majority? Nigel Farage. While Starmer is bogged down in his war with the palace, Farage and Reform UK are sweeping across the country. Their message is simple, powerful, and devastatingly effective. At a rally in Essex, surrounded by veterans and Union Jacks, Farage didn't shout. He spoke calmly. While some politicians attack our institutions, we defend them. We stand with our king, we stand with our prince, and we stand with the British people. The contrast is lethal. And you see the truth of that in the faces in the crowd. They are not the caricatures the London media loves to paint. They are nurses, builders, lorry drivers, and grandparents. People who have worked hard, paid their taxes, and watched their country decay. They are waving Union Jacks not as an act of aggression, but as an act of love for a nation they feel is being stolen from them. Farage taps into this perfectly. The establishment calls you extremists for loving your country, he declared at a packed town hall in Doncaster. They call you bigots for wanting to protect your heritage. Well, I say this, if defending our king, our flag, and our way of life makes us extremists, then let us be a nation of extremists. The roar of approval was deafening. Starmer, the London-based elitist, picking fights with the royal family. Farage, the man of the people, defending them. The polls reflect this tectonic shift. For the first time in living memory, Reform UK is drawing level with Labour in key areas. They are no longer a protest vote. They are a government in waiting. And every day Starmer continues this mad crusade, another 1,000 voters switch to Reform. He is not just destroying himself, he is handing the keys of number 10 to his greatest rival. This is the endgame. Starmer is isolated, his party is in mutiny, and the public has turned against him. He gambled that he could bully the monarchy into submission and cement his power. Instead, he has exposed himself as a weak, arrogant, and out-of-touch ideologue who fundamentally misunderstands the country he seeks to lead. He has awakened a quiet, patriotic majority who are now watching, disgusted. As a political class they already despise attempts to tear down one of the last institutions that still commands their respect. This is more than politics. It is a battle for the soul of Britain. So, has Keir Starmer just committed the most spectacular act of political suicide in modern history? Or is this just stage one of a more sinister plan to abolish the monarchy altogether? Do you stand with a Prime Minister who attacks our heritage, or a Prince who defends it? Let us know in the comments. We read every single one. If you believe Britain deserves better than this chaos and betrayal, share this video.